Man, Harold Lucas, how long have you been doing this, man?
Well, I've been doing it. I first read the book by Sinclair Drake and Horace Keaton in 1973.
Wow.
So it's been a protracted struggle for me on the thesis of our economic emancipation. I read that we were restricted here for the first half of the 20th century. Keaton and Drake documented that reality, and we've been building on that, trying to save these buildings and create adaptive reuses for them in Bronzeville all of those years. Through the Mid-South Planning and Development Commission, working with Black Wall Street, any number of people. One of our advisory board members is part of the Black Cowboys, Stoney Burke, who's the head of the Chicago Buffalo Soldier Unit. He's also one of our advisory board members, been here 66 years. He's lived in his house all his life over here in Calumet. So we've got that kind. George Jones, we worked in the steel mills together back in the 60s. And so George has been documenting the phenomenon of, which is high culture, horseback riding in the black community. It's part of, you got guys who are raised in public housing who are adamant horseback riders. And that's a phenomenon, meaning that Hopalong Cassidy and all those other characters that we watched and looked at them as being free spirits, we had a history of that going all the way back to slavery.
My understanding is that the Black Cowboys were the original cowboys.
No question. And so the story's been revised to accommodate Hollywood, when in fact the history of it is give a black man a horse and a gun and he was free. And so we love that analogy in terms of the spirit of black people who are in the cowboys and the rodeo riding. Plus it's a tourism attraction for us regionally. So we look forward to going down to Pembroke and taking groups down to Pembroke and working with green technologies and all kinds of things like that in terms of building the destination, enhancing what's going on in Washington Park by bringing horseback riding back to its former glory. I talked to Abundance Bakery the other day. You know Bill Ball. Bill Ball says that he got his first riding lesson at 10 years old on 61st and Evans from a black guy who owned a horseback riding stable with a riding rink in it and stables in it in 1961. That's how recent that history is. And so we also want to do a Black Cowboy Museum. I think it's appropriate that that history be preserved in some kind of a permanent exhibit. George's works here that you see here, and there's over 200 works in this room, just gives you the depth and the beauty of that culture and the dress. I mean, I'm gonna buy me a cowboy hat. I'm gonna buy me some cowboy boots. I've always admired them, but never had the courage of my own conviction to really go ahead and actually get me some cowboy boots. I mean, I'm a bicyclist by nature, right, and a roller skater, but I would love to someday still be able to ride a horse. And one of my dreams has always been to ride a horse in the Bud Billiken Parade.
Ironically, that you talked about saving this building, the Supreme Light building, for many years, and you've been here for what, 5 years now?
We've been here 5 years already. That shows you how fast time flies.
But ironically, the Black Metropolis, the gentrification is being slowed down with the recession, but the gentrification of Black Metropolis is very real.
Oh, when this year, the 2010 census will show that 3 out of 4 blacks, low-income public housing residents, have been discriminated against and systematically displaced by the city of Chicago, state of Illinois, the Civic Committee of the Commercial Club of Chicago, University of Chicago, and any number of conspiring politicians and black elites who would like to change the landscape of Bronzeville and make it an upscale development project. Had we won the Olympics, they would have not only ran out low-income people, which they have already done, out of Stateway, out of Robert Taylor, all of those enclaves, they were all gone. They would have run out the people out of Lake Meadows also. And so Lake Meadows is not going to be demolished now because of the downturn in the real estate market. They can't fill up the upscale units in Legend South and in State Street, and you have now a tipping point of how many low-income residents will be coming back into those developments, right, through Section 8 in order to have those units filled up with live bodies and people actually living in them.
So the gentrification of Black Metropolis, if you will, Bronzeville, is going to stop at 22nd Street.
Well, our northern boundary is 18th Street. We're adamant about, and it runs all the way to 71st Street, and we can prove it that that's where we was up until 1948. We say that Bronzeville begins in 1916. We're going to celebrate our centennial, regardless of whether we got the limits or not. We're going to celebrate the centennial of Bronzeville in 2016. That means we want to identify within that geographic boundary multiple sites and attractions, businesses, enterprises, other venues that we can revitalize our community from the bottom up, create the kind of world-class products and services we need to be selling to each other and to the international traveler interested in the authentic experience of the electrified blues. Blues didn't start here, it was electrified here by Buddy Guy, Willie Dixon, etc. And jazz, gospel music, and the politics that elected the first African American to the White House. We're selling that worldwide, and we think on a job creation and workforce development initiative that is critical that we launch these enterprises right now. We are fully aware of the $250 million redevelopment plan for Harper Court in a concentric circle. How is that going to affect the redevelopment of our community? And where are our stakeholders in developing or redeveloping places like the old Forum Ballroom on 43rd Street? There's a couple of buildings back on 47th Street that could be retrofitted. The former Marshall Fields warehouse at 43rd and Cottage Grove. We've identified it as the Bronzeville Palm Tavern, Mongo Marketplace, three-story business enterprise, and unfortunately, we're also competing against an Arthur Rubloff who wants to come in and buy that building from out from under us. We've been planning that project for a year very quietly with the support of State Senator Kwame Raoul. We think it's a great workforce development job creation project that needs to be launched, along with a variety of others, and we want to take our hats off to the brothers from the South Loop Hotel, who are now close to their 80s, who finally had a hotel developed in the African American community, owned by African Americans. And we need several more, and have always had a plan for a hotel on the back lot here, 22 stories up, 2 floors of conference centers to augment what has already been established here in terms of the visitor center, Black Wall Street, not Black Wall Street, what am I asking? Philip Jackson's organization.
Black Star Project.
Black Star Project.
Yeah.
There are 2 anchor nonprofit groups, and the Seaway Bank, the accounting firm here. We want to build on that black commercial business enterprise, go up with a hotel suites concept here. We need to be able to have our heads in beds. We have just come from the Tourism Council conference here, the Governor's Conference on Tourism. We know that Bronzeville is a premier tourism destination. We need the resources from the stimulus dollars to really anchor it and launch it and make it work for the next decades. That we're planning out to year 2040 now. We're beating on launching some projects that deal with the Rosenwald building. We want to make sure the Rosenwald building is redeveloped as the origins of the first mixed-use commercial development in an urban city in the nation, done by Julius Rosenwald. We want to make sure that the Pickford Theater, where Oscar Micheaux showed his films, and Mayor Pickford was the theater was named after, are not torn down, and that De La Salle partners with the community to bring theater back to 35th Street in our revitalization plans.